All right, John. We are live. Let's check. After everything's working. I'm checking.
It says live with 5-5 on Twitter,
Oh, it's okay. This
but
is
it is working.
that's good. Live with 5. Let me go ahead and tweet that out as well.
It's on Twitter saying live with 5-5.
Yeah, I got it. So this is throwing this together last minute. We both got our gear on. It's kind of funny. I had mine on. Did you have yours on today, or did you go throw it on for this?
I already had it on. I did throw the hat on though.
Oh, nice. Nice pullover, by the way. Realignment
Yeah.
with a JC. All right. So I've obviously been following this pretty closely the last couple of days. Realignment really heated up. I'm trying to think back to what initiated all this. I believe it was. Uh,
Texas and Oklahoma.
yeah, I'm talking about recently. What fired things up yesterday? What was the initial? Oh, it was the guy down in Arkansas basically tweeted out that Marshall was going to Conference USA or to Sunbelt. When we saw that, we both I panicked and was like, "Oh man!" I have been calling Marshall the linchpin in this whole thing. Time as soon as I saw Marshall going, I thought that's it. Liberty's been left out. And then it was just a wild ride from there. Everything from Pete Thamel saying that Liberty was not being considered to there could possibly be 4 teams. Um, seeing all the fan base, they couldn't afford it. So like ODU specifically and Marshall were both everything you saw on their Twitter and message boards was saying we can't afford this. We had a crap year in 2020. Like, how can we make this work? They have I even broke out the math. They have $3 million in exit fees. They're going to be missing out on a shared about $3 million a piece from other people's exit fees if they would have stayed in the Conference USA. That's 6 million plus, the different travel constraints and things. It was going to be close to $7 million that these schools are going to be missing out on, and ODU and Marshall and JMU, all three had financial concerns about if they can make that work. ODU is in such poor financial shape right now, athletically. I mean, they are just in bad shape. And I mean, Liberty paid them a good sum of money. I'm so frustrated. It's been such a wild ride. But things kind of came to a crashing halt today for Liberty. There was always hope. And then today, confirmed by some bigger accounts that as early as Monday, Sunbelt will be adding JMU, ODU, Marshall, and Southern Mississippi. So, John, that leaves Liberty on the outside of the Sunbelt. It leaves the Conference USA decimated. I believe there's only 5 teams left.
Yep.
And, what do we do now? What do we do now? We've been left out. First of all, what is the biggest heartbreaker for you in all of this?
The loss to ULM or conference realignment? Which one? It's been a rough week for Liberty
Yeah.
Athletics.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. No, I mean, what has been the biggest, out of this? Was it being left out of the Sun Belt? Was it Marshall, ODU, JMU, Southern Miss being included in the Sun Belt? Was it what? And I mean, the AAC just kind of completely ignoring that we existed. What?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the AAC passed over Liberty. Didn't sound like Liberty was ever being in strong consideration for that league, for whatever reason. I mean, we can sit here and debate some of the teams they had it. I was tweeting about Rice and what they've done, and the AAC commissioner saying we're all about adding teams that have strong commitment to competing. And Rice hasn't had a winning record, and but maybe once in the last decade. They got more one-win seasons than they do winning records this century. So that's a joke right there. But hey, that's fine. They didn't want us. But it's not the Sun Belt. I thought I was on board with Conference USA. I was on board with Liberty being added to Conference USA with Marshall and ODU staying and figuring out from there. I think we could have at that point in time eventually talk to Coastal Carolina, App State, maybe try to convince them to come over to Conference USA from the Sun Belt, and maybe even a few years down the road make a pitch for East Carolina and build that Mid Atlantic FBS conference Ian McCall's talked about so frequently from the ground up, on the backs of those, Marshall, Liberty, ODU, possibly JMU. I'm fine with them being in there too. But now, Liberty's getting passed over for the Sun Belt. If I'm Ian McCall, I know he has worked so hard to build relationships school to school, mainly with Old Dominion. I feel like it's and maybe I don't, we weren't inside any of those negotiations. I don't know exactly. So it's speculation on our part, but it feels like it's kind of ODU's kind of stabbed him in the back as far as, Liberty goes, because Ian had worked so hard at building that relationship, having an ally in ODU. And I'm sure they probably said, hey, it's out of our hands. These teams are going to Sun Belt. We're either left in the Conference USA or we have to go with them. And I'm sure Ian understands their decision and no hard feelings, but I'm sure he does feel like that. I know he also had talked to other schools like JMU and Marshall as well, and some of the others in the region about possibly building this Mid-Atlantic conference. But really, if this report's accurate and JMU's going, man, I've never liked JMU. I can't stand JMU, and now they're going to be competing in the FBS in a Sun Belt conference, and Liberty's kind of left like, what do we do now? Kind of holding the bag, really.
Yeah. So I think that Marshall never has liked Liberty. We could never schedule them until a couple of years ago. Ian started making some ends with their AD. They Mike Hamrick left as their AD about a year ago, and they got a new AD. Things seem to be on the up and up. I don't know if they were just kind of playing us, but their fan base never has really liked Liberty's fan base. I mean, we've been this close for this long, and they will never play us in any sport hardly. So it's not like they're old friends that kind of just. I didn't really know what to expect of them. It's kind of like, are they with us or not? I don't know. I never knew. It didn't feel good. I thought they were the linchpin, so that could have gone either way. JMU, I felt like that they flirted with us, and if we were their only option, they would have gone all in and be like, oh yeah, we're buddy. But as soon as Sunbelt said, "Hey, we're interested in you guys," because Sunbelt it had success adding FCS teams, successful FCS. I mean, you got Georgia Southern, you got Coastal, so they've had success there. So as soon as they start flirting with JMU forgets that we exist. Gets that the whole conference, the regional and all that. They just had their eyes. They were just kind of they were amazed at the opportunity and kind of like, all right, this is it. Now, ODU, that hurts, man. It hurts a lot. I think that we've been over backwards for ODU with scheduling, the amount of money we give them just to schedule, and Ian constantly talks. They even put out a letter 2 days ago saying, hey, we're committed to building a regional thing and it makes sense for us. And you hear everybody from their athletics department talking about, this, we need to do what makes most sense financially. And they're kind of hinting at, hey, we're too broke and we need to do what makes sense for us right now. Then, John, you sent me a tweet. Talk to me about this tweet. What happened between last night and today with ODU? What was that tweet you sent all about with the boosters? What happened?
Well, I don't really know. It sounds like ODU has had a meeting maybe this morning with some of their top boosters and their board of governors or whatever it is they're called, their operating board, to basically discuss moving to the Sun Belt. And I think we saw that news breaking last night out of Conway in South Carolina with Coastal having a meeting last night, and eventually came out to say, there's nothing to see here. But I think this was about, voting to approve new members, and that'll all these other schools would be doing the same thing, whether it's was last night or earlier this week or tomorrow or today or Monday. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like it looked like ODU was having Ed Miller, who covers them for the Virginia Pilot down in the 757, was tweeting out about him. He was learning of a meeting there for ODU this morning, I think it was, about them voting to leave the Conference USA and to join the Sun Belt, and needing to raise additional funds to pay that exit fee, and then but ultimately it would be better off long term for them financially in the Sun Belt, which makes sense. We can sit here and have a sour face, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Sun Belt's a good looking conference right now. I mean, if Liberty had an option today to join, we would do it in a heartbeat, and we would be kicking and screaming, having a whale of a time. I mean, they got, especially think about the Mid-Atlantic teams they got: Coastal, App, ODU, Marshall, JMU. Then you got those Georgia teams: Georgia Southern, Georgia State, plus I think they still got a Florida school or two in there. I'm not sure. It's been a lot of moving parts, but I mean, that's a strong Mid-Atlantic eastern part of their conference. And then they still got some strong teams on the west side in Troy, Louisiana, Southern Miss. So yeah, it's a tough blow for Liberty, no doubt.
All right, so this is how we got to this point. We kind of went through all of that, how we think it all went down. Still nothing's official, but it's pretty much a done deal. John, what does Liberty do now? We've been kind of shunned. All of our close alliances, guys we didn't know about, people who we knew didn't really care about us, were just using us. They've all rejected us and gone to the Sun Belt. What do we do now? What do we do now? I know basically I want to go into the Conference USA, what's left of it, and help rebuild there. And I want to know why you think that is such a terrible idea, and why you think independent is a much better move for Liberty.
Man,
and I'm not going to give you a basketball conference. You have to stay ASUN. Okay, independent and ASUN.
I'd rather be in the ASUN than Conference USA with those 5 teams. I mean, you're talking about Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, FIU, Louisiana Tech, and UTEP. No, I want nothing to do with them. You think we want to send our men's and women's tennis teams on a plane to go play UTEP? No. What about FIU and play in Miami? No, don't want nothing to do with that. Our closest team is Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. I want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that in football, basketball, tennis, croquet, nothing. I want nothing to do with it. It's no. And what's CUSA going to do? They're going to add Liberty. That'll get them to 6. They might add, a New Mexico State. Oh, whip-de-doo. Let's go out here and get Jacksonville State and Delaware and whoever else we can, Eastern Kentucky pull up from FCS. I want nothing to do with that conference. I'd much rather be in the ASUN and independent. They might go and get UMass and UConn as football-only members. That's fine. But, again, we're playing them already. I don't want to be in that conference. I'd much rather be independent. The ceiling's much higher. We can stay where we're at. Ian said all along, we don't have to join a conference. We're only going to join a conference if it means something. Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised at all if after this news breaks here, Monday possibly, if Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky don't decide to go join the MAC. I mean, they should. They're right in the backyard of a lot of those teams in Ohio and around in there, so they're pretty close. They should go join the MAC, and then what's left of the Conference USA? Now you're down to FIU, which, I mean, yeah, they're attractive in as far as their market goes, but what have they ever done? And Miami is so far away from any other school. And then you've got UTEP and Louisiana Tech, which, we can sit here and cry about Liberty, but let's be honest about Louisiana Tech. They're in a tough spot. And it's all because they never wanted to be associated with those other Louisiana schools that are in the Sun Belt. They want nothing to do with them. They think they're better than them. Now they're kind of left up the creek without a paddle. So, but no, I want nothing to do with it. I'd much rather stay independent, keep building ourselves up, keep distancing ourselves from Jerry Jr. and the stain he's left on this institution, and keep growing. We have to get to we have to sit here as Liberty fans, as Liberty alumni. Nobody likes us. That's just the way it is. Fact of the matter. Nobody likes us. So let's just put on our big boy pants and deal with it. Nobody likes us. We're the redheaded stepchild. Nobody wants to join us. We had to threaten our way threatened to sue the NCAA to get to the FBS as an independent, and they don't want to fight that battle, so they let us in. That's the only positive thing I can say about Jerry Jr. getting us to this point. But at the end of the day, nobody likes us. We have to be better than everybody else. We have to go out here. That's why losing to ULM sucks so bad, because we have to go out here and win 10, 11, 12 games every year, beat every G5 team we ever play, beat Coastal, beat App, beat Marshall, beat ODU, beat them on the field, win conference championships in basketball every year, baseball every year, softball every year, be in the top 25. The list goes on and on. We have to do that for us to have make any headway nationally. That's just the way it is. It's the way it is. We can sit here and talk politics all we want to. I don't want to get into politics or religion talks too much. We try to stay away from that, but that's just the way it is. People do not like conservative Christianity. They do not like Jerry Falwell Jr. or even Sr. for that matter. They don't like the what we stand for as an institution. That's just something we have to deal with. We have to put on our big boy pants and just go to work and be better than them.
Yeah. So I think that honestly, that way hasn't worked. That way hasn't worked. What you just said has not worked. We are top 25. We have won 3 straight basketball conferences. We are dominating softball and baseball. And look where it got us, still on the outside. So what I'm proposing is let's try a new path. Yes, will it be terrible to travel all those 5 schools that you talked about? Yes, it will. But we will be a part of a conference that is an FBS conference. Look at the possibility of bringing in. There's to bring in, but you have the ASUN even could merge and bring in some football teams. It doesn't matter who's in there. Honestly, it does not matter who is in the conference. All of that ship has sailed. The conference, like the good conference mates and the good RPIs and the close travel, that stuff is gone. What is not gone is the possibility of being a part of a bigger conference and being aligned and having an alliance with people who want to see you succeed. This trailblazing and going at it on our own and just being better than them and being top 25 in baseball and winning everything and just making ourselves so good and spending so much money with facilities and having the top coaches and all that, that's where we're at. And it got us nowhere. We can't improve on that much more. Unless you're talking winning national championships, we can't. Even sustained success. We've had we've had no losing seasons in football in how many years? We have had success there. We're the top of the top when it comes to G5 football programs right now. And people say, "Oh, that's just Hugh Freeze." No, come on, look at it. We have the infrastructure. A football team is 85 scholarship players. If Hugh Freeze walks out the door, me and you, John, could go get us to a bowl game. And we don't know how to coach football. So what I'm telling you is that way of just put our nose to the grindstone, win all the games, and make ourselves better, us versus the world, that's not working. What we need to do is kind of say, okay, everybody does hate us. Everybody doesn't like what we stand for or how we have kind of forced our way onto the scene or whatever you call it, whatever they hate about us. There's going to find something. There are so many hateful tweets out there right now about not feeling safe at a Liberty football game. That stuff is garbage. And you're going to find it no matter what. You know what we need to do? We need to embrace that and kind of not thumb our nose up at it and go around that group of people and say, well, fine, you don't want to, can't join them, beat them or whatever. That's not the mentality. The mentality is, hey guys, we're a little bruised up. We're a little beaten. We're a little poor like you are right now. We are desperate like you are, Western Kentucky, UTEP. We are a little bit just shook and beat down. Let's form an alliance together. Let's put our arms around each other and let's do this together. Because you know what that does? That gives us some credibility amongst the national landscape of, hey, Liberty's not so bad to work with. We've never been in an FCS conference. Like, hey, yeah, we went to their games every year for 5 years straight up at Williams Stadium, and not one person committed a hate crime against me. There was nobody arrested. There were no people out there like beating me up with their King James version of the Bible. It was an okay place. They were actually really fun to compete against. That's what we need. We can't distance ourselves anymore because we have tried that and it got us nowhere. We are the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of college athletics right now in terms of favor with other institutions. What we need to do is we need to have somebody accept us. Who will accept us and who will put their arm around us and say, okay, guys, let's go do this together? It's the misfits. It is the straight up misfits of college football. But guess what? That's who we are. You don't think we're the misfits of college football for whatever reason, for whether or not we are a diploma mill or we're only an online institution or your president is so lame and such a hypocrite or to you guys have so much money you don't. I mean, we've heard it all, John. We hear it all every day. This is nothing new. We are the misfits. So my suggestion, and I think what Ian is trying to say is, hey guys, let's join with other misfits because guess what? We can join with those other misfits and shine a little bit and people will see. Who are some of the universities? Western Kentucky. You don't think Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech and UTEP and whoever else we get to join will vouch for us down the road and say, yeah, they were actually really great to work with. Ian is wonderful. Their staff is wonderful. They're so accommodating. Their fans are excellent. They come and they tailgate. They spend money. They don't cause any trouble. We go to Williams Stadium. It's so family friendly. We love it there. We love bringing our kids to games there. It's a little weird that they pray before the game. It's a little weird that there's no alcohol being spilt on me every 2 seconds, but it's a great place to watch a game. That's what we need. We need allies. We need friends. We need people who can vouch for us. I don't think that we can go at it alone anymore. And I hear you that we don't want to stoop to that level per se because it is garbage. It is straight up hot, fresh, stinky, rotten garbage what we would be playing with. But guess what? So are we. So are we. Not how we perform in the field, but how we are viewed by the general public and college presidents and the national landscape of college athletics. That's who we are. Hot, trash, garbage, whatever. That's who we need to embrace. That's what we need to embrace. I'm ready. I'm ready to look, I'll always be drinking the Liberty Kool-Aid. Always be drinking the Liberty Kool-Aid. But right now, I can call a spade, and that spade is in public perception. We are hot garbage. And one other thing I want to address. If I see one more person, it's only been one. So if I see one other person.
I know what you're going to say. I've seen more than one. So
if anyone puts this on Ian McCall's shoulders, you are just not with it. That's all I can say without without losing my Christian testimony here on live Twitter stream in front of everyone. You have lost your ever-loving mind. Look, Ian has not only stopped the bleeding, he has raised our profile by 1 million. So you think that we're hot, trash, nasty garbage right now? What do you think we were 5 months ago? What do you think we were 3 years ago when we offered $23 million and still couldn't find any friends? So we have come a long way. We were at the very bottom and we've come alongside now. At least we have 5 people that want to be our friends, and so it's just going to be winning them over one at a time. So I know I kind of went off there. My thought is the only way we can get into a better G5 conference is through an existing FBS conference. Is that because it's build our talent level or our rosters are going to get better or our facility? No, it's none of that. What it has to do with is having friends and alliances that can vouch that we're not some, whatever this hate is being spewed out there. So we kind of disagree on the path forward there. I agree with you, man. It's going to stink and I want no part of it. I do. I seriously want no part of going down in the dumpster and twirling around with those guys. I want no part of it. But it's what we have to do because we have tried the other path and look where it landed us. We're both just sitting here like, who are we? Like, we're top 25. ESPN loves us. We get good deals, everybody. And we try to find some conference mates and everybody scrams. Nobody to be seen. Even our best friends, ODU, JMU, Marshall, the guys who we've been basically courting for the past 3 or 4 years have just basically said, hey, we love the regional idea, but we're out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of great points, and it's hard for me to disagree with many of them. I do agree with you. We have to, like you said, and I, call a spade a spade. We have to realize we are who we are, and we can disagree about the next steps. At the end of the day, regardless of what happens these next few days, this next week or two, I'm still going to support Liberty University and its athletic program. I'm still going to be there every day. I'm still going to be a Flames Club member, a season ticket holder, and that's another way we've harped on that before, but that's another way we can show up and show that we belong at a better conference, in a bigger conference, is by joining the Flames Club. It's amazing to me how many people I've talked to over the past several months, year, that I think are just huge Liberty fans, and they haven't joined the Flames Club. Now, I'm not going to sit here and take a shot at anybody, because everybody is up to make their own decisions, but you can join. I think the lowest entry fee is $60. That we should be up tens of thousands of members. We should have 10,000 plus season ticket holders. You can get in the door, I think, for $70 or something a year for a season ticket. We need to, if you're mad about it, go get on the phone, call and call the Flames Club, call Williams Stadium, get some tickets, and moving forward, because but yeah, you're right. I mean, we'll see. I'm going to, if Ian thinks it's best for us to join the Conference USA and take some lumps, I'll support him. I'll support this athletic department, but it will be hard, to accept that reality, accept that fate. You know, I don't know what else to say, but
it
it's
let's say
difficult.
Ian kind of takes a step back. Keep saying Ian, but we all kind of think he's the one pulling the strings for the most part with our university's athletics. I mean, he's brilliant. Our president right now is a retired pastor, so we're not leaning on him too heavily with like academic and athletic decisions, I would hope. Um, so we think Ian's pulling the strings. My question is, maybe he takes a step back and says, you know what, Chad, you bring up some good points. I mean, not me specifically, but he reads that side of the table and says, yeah, we need to make some friends. But playing independent ASUN is the best path forward for us right now. And I think that we can get an invite that way to a better conference. If he decides that, look, I'm all on board. We both said that. We both know that neither one of us have been on the phone with other conferences, school presidents, other school ADs. We don't know what they're actually saying. We just know what it appears, and it appears like they would do anything to leave us in the dirt. Who knows what kind of a deal. What if this, John? There's something else I thought about, and we'll jump off here in just 1 minute. But I did want to say this. I have a thought. What if ODU and Marshall and JMU and those conversations with Ian said, Ian, my boosters really want this. My people really want this. We have to go for it. We have to take our swing here. This is a great opportunity to be in one of the best G5 conferences. We cannot pass this up. My people, our fan engagement will go down immensely. But here's what I'll do for you. For the next 10 years, I will guarantee you we will help with your schedule. We will schedule you at home and away however we can. You pay us a little bit of money, but we will have a spot for you. JMU says that. ODU says that. Marshall says that. We can't get you into the conference for whatever reason, but we can still help you out. What if he used that as leverage? So we don't know. What I'm saying is there is so much that we don't know happen. We just have to trust Ian's path forward. And right now, that looks like to me what is being put out there. I don't know if it's just a feeler or what, but whenever some reports come out like that from a huge account like that, you can almost bet that it's coming from within our athletics department to put the feelers out there or to kind of make a statement and see and kind of let people know what's going on. So the fact that the college AD account came on and said something to the effect of Liberty is going to help with Conference USA rebuilding, that to me has some legitimacy. So a lot to be determined. I guess we'll just end this by saying in Ian we trust. We don't want any part of that trash Conference USA, but it might be our best option. We
You're
don't know.
saying that as you go into it?
What?
You're saying I want nothing to do with that trash conference as we
Yeah.
accept the invitation?
Yeah, no. Let me add to that. I want nothing to do with that trash pile conference. But if that's who we are right now and that's who we can find, That's
Well, it is who we are.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
else
yeah.
wants us. I mean,
That
they'd rather
sucks.
call up JMU than us.
Yeah, doesn't that
We
suck
won
so
10
bad?
games
Oh,
last year,
that
beat
sucks.
Virginia Tech and Syracuse, beat Coastal Carolina. They're the
This
Sun Belt
sucks.
media darling, but they don't want us. They want JMU.
Yeah, so here we are down here in the bottom of the garbage pile playing around with our friends. That's okay. We'll make some friends down here. We'll have some good games. We'll have some good laughs. We'll still, guess what? All I know is, and Ian, we trust. John and I will still be here drinking the LU Kool-Aid. We're not going anywhere. Ian, you do what you think's best. We'll still be Flames Club members. We're still supporting all the best way we know how from behind these microphones and keyboards. And that's all we can do. And Phantom, I hope you guys, I hope John, what if all this was just never mind. What if that tweet just wasn't true and we were one of the four schools? And we'll see on Monday, but
Yeah, we'll find out soon.
hopefully Ian has some good news for us in terms of maybe he was able to get UConn, or maybe we're going independent, but we're looking at a basketball or Olympic sports at the
Well, that's
A10
the
or
other
something
thing.
crazy.
Maybe we should touch on that real quick. I know we've been on here for 30 minutes already, but we talked about being independent, and can Liberty, here's a question I can pose to you, and then I can also answer it myself, but staying independent, if that's what we think is best, what if we stay independent and instead of staying in the ASUN, we try to get into the Big East or the A10?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's as soon as you said, and we try to get into a conference, I was like, I cut you off immediately. Like, no, that's not happening. Like, we're not getting in another conference right now, unless it's in the bottom of the barrel with our friends, or
No,
Oscar the Grouch.
I agree with you, and that's kind of. But I've had people ask that on Twitter and social media. Is what about joining? Staying independent and making a case to join the Big East or the A10. And I completely agree. I do not. The Big East. Why are they going to add us? We don't. No offense to Richie McKay. I love Richie McKay, and that basketball program is doing amazing work. It's won 3 straight conference championships, one of only 5 or 6 teams that has won 20 or more games in 6 straight years. So they've done a great job. But at the end of the day, we really haven't done anything in the tournament. We won 1 game, which is great, but we haven't turned into Gonzaga yet. We haven't turned into a VCU yet. Why would the Big East or the A10 want us? We haven't done enough to overcome all this baggage that comes with Liberty University. And obviously we haven't done enough to overcome this baggage to get into the Sun Belt or to get into the Conference USA with enough like-minded peers that would make it attractive. So I don't, for those that have asked that, I just leave this out here for you. I don't see the Big East or the A10 wanting Liberty. We're either independent in ASUN as we are now, or we join the Conference USA with, as Chad says, the island of misfit toys. Those are pretty much our only 2 options at this point in time. So we've debated which side of the fence we lean towards, but I don't think the A10 of the Big East is gonna. If we called them, which I'm sure we have, then thanks. We'll let you know. Goodbye, and
Yeah.
never call us back.
So why I think a conference makes most sense. One, I think that the proposed 12-team playoff will be easier to get into as part of a FBS conference because the automatic qualifier gives the highest rank non-P5 conference champion. So you have to win a conference championship, which we could do in the Conference USA every year. They give them the highest ranked every year, gets an automatic bid to that 12-team playoff. What does that mean? If we only have 6 football members or 8 football members, we still have 4 games a year that we can schedule against Louisiana, Army, Ole Miss, Syracuse. We can still keep some of those Power 5 games. It's not like we're just throwing up our hands on all of our good independent schedules. That's number one. Is it's an easier path to the FBS 12-team proposed playoff. Number two, I think the number 2 reason is that it would probably be an upgrade in basketball. Now, is Western Kentucky going to stay? I don't know, but I think it would be a little bit of an upgrade in basketball, not as much as I had hoped. And thirdly, like I was talking about earlier, is we need some allies in the NCAA right now, and FBS. We need some allies who are going to vouch for us and talk about, how good of a conference mate we are. Right now,
I do agree with that point. I think that's a very good point. Is we do need somebody out there that becomes quote unquote friends of ours, and I think we've made a lot of headway. Going back to your point about somebody saying this is all Ian's fault, we've made a lot of headway in terms of ODU, Marshall, even JMU. The fact that those teams would even like waffle as to whether or not we should stay in Conference USA with Liberty, even though this ship seems like it's sinking, or let's just all go jump and go towards the Sun Belt, which is already the stronger conference. The fact that that's even a thought that those teams are having or had shows how much progress we've made. So yes, we are making the right steps. But at the same time, we were in the Big South. They didn't want us. They basically kicked us out. We're in the A-Sun. Doesn't appear they care for us too much. They don't. It's just very hard. I put this in an article, for club members on ASeaRed.com this morning, talking about realignment. Is Liberty's really in a tough spot, because we have the resources, we have the facilities, we have the money to be a top G5 program, even a low-level P5 program. But to be honest, when we don't have the tradition, we don't have the fan base that has matured enough to the point where it can support 30,000 people in a stadium to 10,000 season tickets, 10,000 Flames Club members. We haven't matured to that point, and we have too much baggage to overcome that, we just haven't done enough. So, we're too big for the A-Sun. We're too big for the Big South, so they don't really want us. But we have too much baggage, and we haven't done enough to overcome that baggage to be attractive with who our true peers are, which is, the AAC or the Sun Belt or some of these teams we're talking about. Those are our true peers, not who we're going to end up with if we join this Conference USA that's reworked. But that's just a fact of the matter. That's just where we're at today, and we need more time. We need more time to get away from the Jerry Jr. debacle, to get away from that stain, and to continue to have more years of success. Because at the end of the day, we've only had 1 year where we won 10 games and we're a true success at the FBS level. We need to put, if it's 3 years from now and we've done that, 3 years in a row or 4 out of 5 years or something like that, and we've made the Sweet 16 twice in 5 years in men's basketball, then it's probably, hopefully, enough for the rest of the country or whoever the conference is that we're trying to get into to overlook that baggage. And then hopefully we got enough time in between us from that baggage. We don't have any more, not creating any more drama. So,
yeah, we might be completely wrong. From an outsider's perspective, Brett McMurphy said that the number one reason why conferences didn't want us was because they weren't sure we could sustain this kind of success without Hugh Freeze. That was what he said on the podcast, or the time I talked to him. Now, is Hugh Freeze going to leave? I don't know. He could stay here for 20 years. I hope he does. He's the man. I love having his recruiting classes. The winning is infectious. It's addictive. I love it. And his teams are well coached. He blah, blah, blah. Right. But Brett McMurphy says, from an outsider's perspective, who Brett knows this stuff, he said the number one reason is because they don't know if we can sustain this type of success without Hugh Freeze on the football field. And I guess that's a good concern. And it's G5 coaches typically don't stick around all that often if they have great success. So good concern there. Well, John, it's been fun. I know that whichever way it goes, we're going to still be watching the games. I know that. We're cheering on the Flames, and that's kind of the most important thing. But it was super disappointing. One of the absolute low points of my Liberty fandom is today, whenever they tweeted out that it was going to be those four and Liberty was going to be left out. Neither good. Rebuilding with the C Conference USA, not good. Remaining independent, it's not sustainable. It's not good. Neither option is good, but we just have to pick the lesser of the two evils and figure out which one gets us that invite next time this thing comes around. And that's the thing, is like, people act like this is a forever thing. Like, oh,
Sure.
we can't do this because, dude, 4 years from now, there's going to be more opportunities. We just need to
Sure.
pick a path for the next 4 years. Is that independent or is that Conference USA? 4 to 5 years, I would guess. These things don't stay around. I mean, the big one, this was a big one because of Oklahoma, Texas, but there's always going to be shifting and people thinking, oh, we're too good for this conference. We don't have the money to make it work here, or we're getting out competed because our peers are spending tens of millions. We're only spending millions. So this stuff changes all the time. If you look at the Sun Belt now, is primarily old Conference USA teams or vice versa, and
Sure.
they all kind of shift. So this is not a forever thing. This is a 5-year. Let's withstand and try again next time. What's going to make us more attractive the next time? And hopefully, I know we have the right man pulling the strings on that, and we will see how it lands. So appreciate it, John. Go Flames.
Yeah, man.